Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. I know it's been over a year, but life happened and I had to handle a few things. Had a couple of tower moments, and you know how that goes. So, I wanted to talk about something that I had mentioned a couple of times in my work, and it's basically the call of desperation. Now, when you're karmic, or your Jezebel, or whoever and whatever you call this person, persons, place, thing, situation that's grinding your gears and trying to derail you from your purpose, I want you to remember something. We're not built like everybody else. If you resonate with this as a spiritual person or as somebody that is street smart as well, okay, I'm talking to you guys too. There's something you have to realize. We're not built like everybody else. What does that mean? What would spook somebody else in the first incarnation and the first attempt, it's going to take you 352, 466, 789, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. This is how you wear down your enemy. Every time they go to that spell book, they have to do something a little more depraved. Every time they go to that spell book, they have to do something a little disgusting in order for it to quote unquote work. Okay? But the joke's on them because the glamour and the illusion that whatever entity that they're working with is presenting to them is that this is guaranteed to work. Oh, she can't say no to this, or she can't fight this off. Can't she now? Because at the end of the day, you're still standing. They may be able to knock you down a little bit, okay? But that's only to fool them. Certain things are allowed to happen to fool the enemy. This is chess, okay? They're dealing with checkers. They have checkers in their part of the board, and we're dealing with chess, okay? It's a game of strategy and foresight and anticipation. You have to anticipate what your enemy is going to do next. I'm going to be talking about this a lot in the coming episodes. So if this is something that you like spiritual strategy, go ahead and give me a follow, share this podcast, okay? Because it's going to help a lot of people. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, shall we? For most people, nobody wants to deal with somebody that is into witchcraft or this, that, or the other thing. And there are many, many sectors of witchcraft, okay, under that umbrella. Nobody wants to deal with that, so that whatever this witch does, that intended victim backs off. But if you double down and talk with your chest and stand 10 toes down in what you believe, they have to, as a result, get a little more depraved, get a little more desperate, okay? I've seen it in real time. They may be able to knock you down, but this is all part of the strategy, okay? They have to be able to see that it's quote unquote working. And if they see that, oh, you got knocked down or you got knocked off your square a little bit, it allows them to be sloppy because, it worked. No, actually it didn't. Because all we have to do is pray to the Most High for wisdom, because we may not be able to fight them back using what they do, okay? We fight a different way. And whenever we enlist the help of our Father, who do you think is involved in that? Archangel Michael. And what really grinds my gears, guys, is when these witches like to use Archangel Michael. You know how loyal Archangel Michael is to the throne? Extremely devoted. Okay? There's no way on God's green earth that he's working with the witches. There's no way. And this is something that they're not going to tell you, and they're going to get very upset. And when I make them upset with some kind of truth, then they come and attack. But do you know what number they're on now with me? About number 2352. You know how many spells they've put? It's just utterly ridiculousness at this point, because it's like, at the end of the day, I'm still standing. I'm still true to my faith. You haven't knocked me out of my faith. And at the end of the day, you're the girl that ate shit. You're the girl that played with blood and piss and semen. And graveyard dirt. Like, you're the one that played with all of this stuff and still wasn't able to do what you intended to do. So how far back in these dusty books do you have to go? And we're talking ancient spells here. We're not talking no simple spells that you find on some botanica, on the internet, okay? Nothing that you can Google or chat GPT, okay? We're talking ancient ritual, okay? And still, that doesn't even work. Do you know why they call him the Most High? Because he created everything. He literally created all of the things that these witches like to use. And what also grinds my gears, guys, is when they like to use the Book of Psalms. You want to use the Book of Psalms. The Book of Psalms is songs of devotion and praise to God. And you're using that to power your spell. So let me get this straight, okay? You don't believe in God, okay? You may hate him, but then you're the same one running to the Book of Psalms to power your spells. Why can't you go to one of your entities? Why do you need to go to the Book of Psalms? Because you know how powerful he is. Why else would you go to the Book of Psalms? And these witches love to say, oh, in the Book of Psalms is a spell book. You like to put everything back on every practice that we have being witchcraft. Honey, I'm going to take it all the way back to the time of the Egyptians, okay? The time of Moses. There's a reason why the 10 plagues happened other than the fact that it was prophesied. Because every single one of those plagues was an animal god that the Egyptians used as their gods and goddesses. So God said, bet. You want to use what I created to basically hurt my people? Then I'm going to use it to be a pestilence to you. Crops were destroyed. We've all seen The Prince of Egypt. That's one of the best movies that Disney ever made. Like, I absolutely adore that movie. I love that movie. That and Coco. I love Coco. I don't know if Disney is really Coco, or made Coco, but those are the two number one movies that I like. That and The Princess and the Frog, because of the spiritual element in there. Okay, I used to be a big Cinderella girly, but in recent years it's been more closer to what I believe spiritually and everything like that. And speaking of Princess and the Frog, we all know what happened to Dr. Facilier. Okay? He played around with all that stuff too. Okay? And what happened to him? He couldn't keep his end of the bargain that he made with these entities. And they took his ass. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen it, but I mean, at this point, I think most of us have seen The Princess and the Frog. At what point do they give up? Now, not all of them are doing witchcraft, because some of them have tried and realized that the witchcraft doesn't work on specific children of God. It doesn't work on us. It bounces right off of us. So now, since the magic is not working, what they want to do is assume your life, or assume your personality, or assume your essence. I'm going to give you an example. There's one person that I had been dealing with. I have been doing this type of work since 2016. If you know anything about me, I started as Black Cat Tarot. If you know anything about me, and I'm pretty known in this sphere, okay? About a year in, this other woman had come in, and when she started, she was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unsure of herself. That's until the Jezebel spirit took over. Once that Jezebel spirit took over, that's it. She had this fake confidence. Because I call it fake because when you're busy watching the other people, trying to copy them, while at the same time trying to take over. Essentially Hailey Biebering, okay? I mean, it's kind of a thing now. It's like, she made that stalker thing very famous, okay? And this particular person in recent, I would say about the last 6 months, really, has really tried to take over my style, okay? I mean, up until now, she never wanted to look like me. But now she's trying to take over my visage, okay? What does that mean? When you get to a certain age, you realize, especially if you've funneled your beauty and your sexuality into making money, and you make money off of that being the springboard, it all comes back to how beautiful you are. You start to realize your beauty is not bringing in what you really, really want. You may have the money, but being able to buy things doesn't fill the hole in your soul. So you're able to buy the newest tech, get a tattoo, get this, get that, and buy all kinds of things to fill whatever void is there, but that doesn't last. What you really want is true love. But you shot yourself in the foot when you did a couple of things. When you jumped on the bandwagon to something that you don't belong to because of your spiritual energetic signature. You were a karmic this entire time. You used to do karmic readings. Somehow, some way, something switched. Because a lot of and this is not the only person, a lot of these former twin flame readers, karmic readers, switch on a dime. All of a sudden saying twin flames don't exist, quote unquote. Stop calling people karmics, quote unquote. Nobody is going to defend a karmic unless they're a karmic themselves. And those are facts. You only defend who you resonate with. Look at this whole thing from Love Island. The amount of people that supported that woman. But they're outing themselves. This is the time where, and I had said this back in what, 2018, 2019, around there, that this would start to happen. This is not just the biblical scriptural division of the wheat and the tares. This is happening on a level where even people that are not aware or don't read the Bible or anything like that are seeing the stark difference between the Jezebel archetype and everybody else. They're singling themselves out by how they talk, how they act, the avoidance of accountability. They're outing themselves. But when they get desperate, and it circles back to this central theme of this episode, when they get desperate enough and the spells aren't working, a lot of them are just abandoning the spells because they realize that it's not working, it's moot. Then they try to copy you. Well, I can't beat her. Let me try to be like her so I can copy her sauce. We're built with the recipe in us. And they try to copy it. But this is desperation. How is it desperation? When you reach a certain age and you haven't accomplished certain things in your life, you can buy anything that you want. But that's not filling that gaping hole in your soul. What you want is love. And you can't get it. You can't get it. You have all the money in the world, all the popularity in the world, but you're still alone. Utterly and perpetually alone. You cannot seem to keep a man. And that's the one thing that you want more than anything else in this world, but because of your militant feminism, you have to make it the man's fault that you can't keep men around. At least quality men. So you make it their fault. The man bashing, the misandry, okay? Because you avoid accountability like the plague. So what happens in this, again, word of the day, folks, desperation. Then you start copying the person that you want to have their life, want to have their talents. Talent is something that's either you have it or you don't. There's a difference between a talent and a skill. You can learn to read tarot, okay? You can learn to do certain things. Certain things are skills. But talents that are in there in your birth chart, that's only for you. So when somebody tries to copy it, it's basically them infringing on your copyright. That's your intellectual property. And they're infringing on it. I'll give you an example. I've worn glasses since, and I'm blind as a fucking bat, but I mean, not literally. I'm not like bumping into walls and shit, but you know, my vision's a little fucking blurry. But I've worn them since, I'd say, if I have to go all the way back, since 2018, really. Yeah, I'd say since 2018. Okay, the beginning part of 2018. If you go back to my TikTok, I'm wearing them from the very beginning. So this whole entire time, this girl that I'm dealing with has never worn glasses, ever. All of a sudden, now she's wearing glasses. Because she thinks that intelligence, depth, wisdom is a costume she can wear. And the fact that she's copying me says a lot. So you're looking at me as the blueprint? and expect to just take whatever I'm supposed to get associated with this work that I'm ordained to do, anointed to do. There have been visions and dreams from other people, not by myself, by other people that are not even into spirituality like I am, that have seen what's down the pike for me. And the fact that this person is trying to assume my identity, it speaks volumes. So you're looking at me, honey. As much as you like to run your mouth, you look at me as the blueprint. I have mentioned my scoliosis many, many times. Okay? All of a sudden, she has sciatica. Like, trying to be slick that it's not exactly the same thing, but the same body area. Like, do you really think that we just fell off the turnip truck? I may have been born at night, but not last night. Like, I'm not understanding what is this fascination with me. The poet thing. You guys know I'm a poet. Okay, I've been invited to speak. Okay. I actually have a whole poetry book out. It's my second book that I wrote. The first was a memoir, which I'm going to be working on the second part very, very soon. Point being that I've written 2 books already. And this girl runs out and buys a MacBook M1 to try to write. Meanwhile, not a single paragraph has been written. This is the point that I'm trying to make. When they can't stop you with spell work, they'll copy you. It's desperation. And why is this desperation happening? Because the beauty is either fading, okay, becoming a little too expensive, a little too time consuming. Maybe she's tired of it. So she wants to be able to do something that doesn't require being beautiful because it's not sustainable. Eventually, she will get old. So what happens? I guess now I got to be smart. I guess now I got to be deep and wise. I can't market beauty and sexuality anymore. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm going to be pushing 35, 40. 40 will come like this. We all know how fast time has been passing by. So what is it? These type of people would never fare well in the real world. So they have to do things like this. Have all of these different streams of income just in case one doesn't pan out. They have 12 other ones. The most hypocritical thing is when they're a whole witch that hate other women's success, especially if that woman that they hate their success is a child of God. They especially hate your success. What's worse than that is when they're a whole witch that bashes Christians and takes every opportunity to bash Christians, yet their parents are Christian. So it's okay for you to live in your Christian parents' house because you're afraid of living alone because of your anxiety and the anxiety being caused by all those demons you work with. But yet you want the covering, right? So how convenient. You stay in that house because you do not want to live on your own because then you're all by yourself. Just you and them demons. So you'd rather live at home with your mama and your papa at 35 years old, close to 35 years old, and be under their covering. Please make it make sense how you're a grown adult. Please make this make sense. How we're supposed to take you seriously, and more than that, how we're supposed to take your advice. How are we supposed to take advice from someone that has not been exactly a great example of finding true love, but yet she does love readings? We're supposed to take your advice? That has never lived on their own, but wants to talk about independence? That wants to talk about mental health and call everybody else delusional and delulu and all of these things, yet you're taking medication for your anxiety and you have to drag your whole family with you everywhere you go because you're afraid of being anywhere by yourself? Exactly what are you using that you can't do anything at 33, 34 years old by yourself? You're a grown woman, right? You could do other grown woman things, but you can't do the major things. Desperation? What does desperation look like? When somebody like me repeats and posts something that the Most High told them about that person, and they have not been able to get away from that prophecy. Everything in their life is showing that that person that said that prophecy was telling the truth because it came from God. And since you can't attack God, you attack their representatives. I don't know, man. You tell me. What does desperation look like? At what point does it become desperation? When you can't compete with the younger girlies that are bursting onto the scene. When you have to do the absolute most to keep up with them, you become like these J-Los. Okay? We all seen, that's another episode. You become like the J-Los, the Madonnas. There's nothing more sadder than an aging diva. And a lot of people will say, oh, that's so horrible for you to say. Why do women get held to this standard but men can't? Do you see men shaking their ass, being scantily clad on a stage just to keep up and compete because that competitive spirit never leaves them? To try to compete with women that are younger than them? They could barely move on stage. Their choreography is so stiff. But here they are. They cannot. Retirement is like a bad word, like a cuss word to them. Desperation. Desperation is taking out an up-and-coming young starlet or young songstress so that you can take over. We're talking to you, Lady Gaga. We're talking to you, Beyonce. We're talking to all of y'all. You can't hide behind, oh, believe all women. Oh, because it's a woman, we have to believe them. And because it's a woman, we can do no wrong. No, this is a woman calling women out. I have the same body anatomy you do, honey. And I can call out the desperation. It reeks. It has a stink. It's making you stink. All that high-end expensive perfume is not covering the stench of your disappointment and failure in life. Desperation is a very sad thing. At what point do you say, fuck it, I give up? There's no shame in saying I give up. Especially when you've been doing the things that you've been doing to other people. Taking a step back to self-reflect. What's the saying? Accountability is these women's kryptonite? Men too. Oh, we'll talk about this too. Okay? I have some stories. Okay? And that'll be in the next episode. I don't want you guys thinking that I'm just attacking the women. We're going to talk about the men too. Okay? And that'll be in the next episode because believe me, I have some experiences to talk about. Okay? And I'm calling out specific types of men. Not all men. I'm not going to put all men in that category. Just the ones that are like that. Those are the ones I'm talking to. Directly in your eye. So until next time, guys, just observe. Don't give them what they want. But observe. You'll see the desperation. And it's going to look different for each person. Desperation is the kryptonite of an aging diva. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Always stay truthful to yourselves. The truth does not fear investigation. Peace out, y'all.